because even the Monsoon core, you can see here, the Monsoon, the Apple A11 from 2017 has an absolutely perfect IPC, and the 6 LAU Monster core as the first one. And there was no big announcement like a Monster architecture, best IPC on the world. There was like a no single announcement about this. And actually, even the second generation Vortex, the same. There was like a nothing saying that Apple has the best architecture in the world. And so I was kind of shocked of the IPC of the Apple A13. But Apple has a best architecture since 2017, and I was kind of wonder what was Apple announced. What Apple announced the A11 Bionic. What was their official slides? So let's check this out. Yeah, Apple Apple is saying there are two performance cores. That's it. This is the absolutely revolutionary, most wide architecture, 6 LAUs as a first CPU on the world is using 6 LAUs, guys. And they just say there's two performance cores, like a no number, like a, I don't know, it's really crazy. And actually, accidentally, I also found the explanation. One day I was watching the video about Simon Sinek. Maybe you know him from the YouTube, and he was talking about finite and infinite game. And because Apple is like there is no mentioning they have a best architecture. There is actually no marketing from the CPU architecture. They just say just they have a best iPhone, and that's it. And they really try to keep it in secret. They don't really go public this information. So I accidentally found actually why. Now let's talk about why Apple tries to keep that in secret. Why all the super advanced architecture they don't announce that they are the best. That they have a best architecture since 2017. And the reason is that Apple is actually the infinite game player. And there is a whole philosophy behind it. But to compare, the traditional business is like a finite game. They do plan like a 5 years. We are going to beat Intel or AMD. That's why then normal business they always AMD and Intel they always rise, beat their competitor, and then they fall because they forget to uh, develop some continue development. They do relax, and their competitor they will rise again and beat them. So they always some phases of the development. So it's always changing. Who is best. But this is the characteristics of the finite game. That's why there is always big progress. Why with some afterwards there is some stagnation in development. And they also use marketing. Oh, we are the best now, and they are like pushing a lot of marketing, and they enjoy also like over the high prices when they are best. And they do relax. Actually, they do forget about the development. They don't need to push the development so fast because their competitors has some problems. So why they should keep pushing their development for the maximum, right? So they can also enjoy the money and so this is the typical finite game. This is like a normal business, right? This is like a normal every business is doing to beat your competitors. Yes, but there is also a different game. Actually, it's so-called infinite game, and the infinite game is not is characterized by not like beating your competitors, because actually your competitors is not the best let's say the biggest enemy. The biggest enemy is yourself actually. Because when you do development of the CPUs, not because you want to beat someone, but because you want to do the best you can, actually, this means that you can develop something even better than if you would do by comparing to your competitor. You do you do just your best, and you will enjoy the time while doing your best. This is kind of all the development way, and struggling is the fun part of the way. Actually, the target is not to have a success, but your goal is actually to do the work, to do the hard work. So it's totally different actually, and you actually don't need to look at the AMD and the Intel or other competitors. You do your own maximum best, so you can be sure that you will do better development than your competitors actually. Even you have some internal goals, of course, but you try to develop the best architecture for the future use. You are not planning 5 years. You are trying to develop the best architecture for, let's say, 30 years goal. So, and this also this is also kind of, if you lose, if your competitors are better right now, it can be because you set the goals for 30 years success for the long term. So in the short term, you might be outperformed in some ways. And your competitors will say, yeah, we have a better frequency and um, our maximum performance is better than yours, and they can say a lot of things like this. They can use the marketing, but the thing is that you don't need to uh, you don't need to care about this, because you know that in the long term you will be there as a first one. Even you will for the short term struggle, and this is the perfect description of the Apple architecture. They are developing the best IPC architecture on the world. Even they are struggling in the short term with the frequency, of course, but they already knew since they began in 2008 when they bought the PA Semi with the Jim Keller on board. They knew that they are going to, in a couple of years, they are going to have a best architecture, the best architecture, and they will outperform x86 because they are playing totally different game with a totally different rules. And yeah, this is the best explanation I can give you. And actually, they don't need to even to make some marketing. They don't care about the marketing. They don't care about the architecture itself. They do care about to provide the best product for their customers. And they can do it only when they have a best architecture using maybe the best displays, best batteries. Okay, let's go back and talk about the IPC a little bit more. And yeah, we will see that I already mentioned that the A13, which is 1 year old architecture, has a plus 82% IPC over the Intel Comet Lake. And you maybe saw also when we was calculating the A14 Geekbench score that there is an estimated IPC. When we added those 13.5% IPC step to A13, we got about 2000, 2000 no, maybe next year, but this year 206% IPC. It will be plus minus 5%, but anyway, it will be double IPC in compared to Intel Comet Lake and AMD Zen 2. So this is absolutely devastating performance, and it's nothing in compared to the matrix multiplication, which should come soon. And yeah, we already talked that the Apple A9 Twister has a best, let's say, higher IPC than the Comet Lake. A10 has a higher IPC than the Ice Lake, and Apple A7 Cyclone was the first 4 LAU architecture on the world together with the as well, released in 2013 as well. But you might be also wondering how is this possible? How the development started? Actually, it started back in 2003 when PA Semi was established. It's a startup, and 2004 Jim Keller jumped on board of PA Semi, and Apple bought PA Semi with Jim Keller on board in 2008. And in 2008 actually started the development of the Apple A6, which was their first in-house chip. And yeah, 2008 plus 4 years approximately for the CPU development, and you will get 2012, which is actually the product Apple A6 Swift. And later, 2009 was probably started the development of the Apple A7 Cyclone, and they were pushing the architecture to the maximum since the beginning, since like first days. But you also might know that the Jim Keller was working in the digital, which was later on, it was in 1998 bought by Compaq, and Compaq promised that they will keep alpha architecture alive and continue the development, but they didn't actually. That's why a lot of engineers actually was kind of escaping digital and going to Intel and AMD. Jim Keller was one of them. Jim Keller went to AMD, and he was co-author of the 64-bit extension to x86 instruction set. And also he started development of really big architecture, replacement actually of the K7, and it's not a K8 actually, it was let's say bigger than the K8, but it was cancelled, and K8 is actually the development, like it's just the evolution of the K7. And when AMD cancelled his ambitious architecture, he left actually, and later on he ended up in a PA Semi. Why I'm talking about the digital alpha? Because Jim Keller was working, I think, EV6 processor, and digital was also developing the alpha EV8, and the alpha EV8 was this 8 LAU monster with a 4-way SMT, guys. So, and because Jim Keller was the engineer there, and even he was not working on it as far as I know, but there might be some inspiration. That's at least it was never released. It was killed by the Intel because Intel bought the Alpha division from Compaq in 2001. They immediately cancelled. Actually, the chip, the EV8, was let's say almost taped out because they scheduled the release to 2003, and so it was really close to the tape out. And because Compaq was preferring the Intel Itanium, they get convinced by the Intel that the Itanium is the future, so they got cancelled uh, they decreased the development of the EV8. You know, a lot of engineers left, and finally it was bought by Intel. So yeah, Intel is kind of evil here. So, and Alpha EV8 with the 8 LAUs, it's a pretty monster architecture, and it caused a kind of delay in the CPU development, maybe at least 10 years, probably 20 years, because we have a similar CPU in the Apple right now. So, and why I'm talking about? I'm just trying to prove that the Apple monster architecture is not the only one monster on the world, and there is actually more monsters. And we can also talk a little bit about the Nuvia Phoenix here, because this is the monster which is coming for the next year, and they released some new information